some
first,
stuff I want to talk
restoring
about
what
on
is
here.
ours. That's the focus of tonight's angle.
Good. I hate this woman. But at least everything she says is insane, so it makes it relatively easy to make content about her. So this one, I have actually seen this part, but we're going to go through it anyway because there's some important stuff I want to cover in here.
The family shared with us photos of Honesty Cheadle. She was just 3 years old, shot in the head, according to her family. It was a stray bullet fired from somebody down the street while Honesty was in her father's car.
Mike Gill has died after being shot during a deadly carjacking spree in the district. Gill was a member.
Blah, blah, blah. They're highlighting a couple instances of crime so they can claim that crime numbers aren't actually going down.
Well, those are just a few examples of the types of crimes that we've been seeing here in the nation's capital recently. And no, after the fact juvenile curfew zones that police have intermittently established, they're not the answer. We need real consequences for real criminals to send a real message. Now, you're going to hear from Democrats that crime is down, but here's the kicker. D.C. officials have apparently been manipulating the numbers. Ever heard of that?
It turns out, believe it or not, she's being super disingenuous here. I'm going to go ahead and let her say her bullshit first before I go into debunking it. But just know that this is absolutely not any of what she says means what she says it does, per usual.
To make it look like the situation is really improving. NBC4 in Washington reported that a high-ranking D.C. police commander, Michael Pulliam, was placed on administrative leave after being accused of helping fudge the department's crime stats. Now, according to the police union, officials inside the MPD deliberately altered the data to make it appear that crime had gone down when the truth was anything but.
Cool. So that's not what it says. So she is correct that Michael Pulliam was put on administrative leave. However, Commander Michael Pulliam only oversaw one police district out of 7 in Washington, D.C. Even if the allegations against him are completely true, and even if he was completely fudging the numbers and just largely making them up out of whole cloth and not exaggerating them a little bit in one direction or the other, that would only affect a fraction of the city's overall crime rating or crime reporting. The idea that Democrats are using, I don't call myself a Democrat. I am far left of that on the leftist side of things. But the headline, Democrats are using fake DC crime stats, is extrapolating from one district's alleged issues to all of them. Whereas even if everything that was said was true, it wouldn't be enough to sway the overall crime statistics of DC. It wouldn't be enough to make it look like crime is going down all over DC when it's really going up all over DC. It just wouldn't be sufficient, even if crime was going up by hundreds and hundreds of percents in his district. It still wouldn't show that crime all over DC is going up in the way that they claim it is. The numbers would still be trending downwards. The broader crime reduction trends in DC are confirmed by a bunch of independent sources well beyond the Metropolitan Police Department, including the Council of Criminal Justice Data, the FBI crime statistics, independent analysts like Jeff Asher, comparative analysis with the other major cities who have similar issues and similar crime statistics. Even if he had completely made this stuff up, once again, it wouldn't be sufficient to create the substantial citywide decrease in crime that we do see through those reportings. That would be a 32% homicide decrease in 2024, 12% additional decrease this year. That's important, specifically bringing up homicide, because that's what their next big lie on this is about. Furthermore, I'm saying if the allegations against him are true, because A, we don't know that they are yet, and B, his suspension did happen a week after he filed a complaint against the executive assistant chief of police, and there's good reason to believe that this could just be retaliation. So we're not totally sure. But given that Trump fired the head of the Bureau of Labor Statistics for publishing numbers that he doesn't like, I don't think it's super crazy or conspiratorial to think that there's a chance this is something similar to that.
Now, our capital city, and I've lived in D.C., I lived in D.C. for about 30 years. This should be a showplace. It should be a shining example of beauty and law and order. but instead it has become a showcase for violence, chaos, and homelessness. We have youth gangs roaming in mobs. We have armed robbers barely old enough to drive. Brutal beatings in broad daylight, and while families live in fear, the city's so-called leaders apply Band-Aids. Now, after years of rising crime, police handcuffed by political activists and public safety had enough.
The criminals, roving mobs of wild, let it take our as the metropolitan.
Wrote it of the nation.
More law enforcement. If people are, if
She needs to be replaced. This both sidesing is a load of shit. She knows damn well that this is Trump trying to establish military control and create a military capital. Her trying to say, maybe we do need this. We don't really know what the numbers are, blah, blah. It's wishy-washy bullshit bad for all of us.
All-time highs. That's meaningless when the overall violent crime rate in D.C. is worse than some of the most dangerous cities in the world. And here in the United States, according to the most recent data, D.C. ranks #1 in the country for homicide.
That is just not true. I can't find anything close to that. I spent a lot of time trying to find where the hell that could come from, and it's just made up. It's just made up out of whole cloth. Everything I could find on the homicide numbers in DC, here, I can pull this one over, actually. There's nothing major on here right now. Trump's numbers were the numbers Trump was using when he was talking about the rise in homicides were from 2023, which admittedly was a high year in DC for homicides, but it still wasn't the highest in the country. And it wasn't the highest if you extrapolated it to, I think she said something like, if DC was a state, it would have the highest homicide rate in the country. I don't know what that means. If she's multiplying the murder rate by however many times she would need to make the population match a state, that's obviously not how those statistics work. And if she's saying that if this rate were, like, if their murders per 100,000 were the same, but they were a state, they would be higher than any other state, that's also not true. I don't know what she's getting at here. I don't know what this is coming from. It's just fake. I couldn't find anything to corroborate it. It hasn't been the murder rate in DC has not been the highest in the country in recent memory or of any stats that I could find. There have been states well above it and cities well above it in every single chart that I've looked at. I can keep looking, but someone can send me something, but I'm pretty sure this is just made up out of whole cloth. All right.
Now things really began to spiral.
And the very last part. There was only one more thing I needed out of this, so we're gonna get this up real quick. Let's get over to YouTube. And
as we might remember, post-George Floyd in the summer of love. That's when the D.C. Council passed the Comprehensive Policing and Justice Reform Amendment Act, banning certain control techniques, sharply restricting use of force, and piling on procedural hurdles for officers.
So this is the big thing they're trying to do here. They're trying to get rid of all these restrictions we've put on police to prevent them from murdering us in the streets. And by us, I don't mean me, obviously. But they're going to lie about these crime statistics, and they're going to lie about them in every place they possibly can. They're going to say that we have restricted police too much. We've prevented them from doing their jobs. And now because of it, the crime's going up like crazy, even though the stats just don't match that.
Police at the time warned, and certain stackings have surged.
It's hard to put it on.
Ramifications for these
this is the
kids
one.
or young adults, whatever.
We're just back to the we're all scared of teenagers.
How much
section.
crime isn't being reported? I don't know.
Too much violent crime being committed by young punks who think...
Young punks. It is old shouts at sky. It's just, here. I think we all know. We're just going to keep that loaded up. We'll just keep that ready to go because you're going to notice some themes.
That they can get together in gangs and crews and beat the hell out of you or anyone else. But they know that we can't touch them. Why? Because the laws are weak. I can't touch you if...
Because the laws are weak. No, because the laws are protecting children from people like you.
If you're 14, 15, 16, 17 years old and you have a gun.
Of course.
Also, let's be totally clear. They don't give a about crime. They elected Donald Trump. This is not about reducing crime. This is not about even reducing teenage crime. This is about lowering the definition of what is an adult until the people in their party can no longer get in trouble when they release the Epstein files. That's what's happening. These people don't give a about trying children as adults. They want to children like adults. And it's gross, but we all know that's what it is. Like, Donald Trump had no problem with Jeffrey Epstein. He trafficking minors. He said he knows that he prefers his women on the younger side, as if that wasn't the most tongue-in-cheek bullshit. He picked up women at Mar-a-Lago. Like, come on, let's be so for real here. Like, they are not trying to, if they are trying to imprison teenagers, we know which ones. The point here is to get their pedophile friends out of trouble. That's it.
Of course, the judge is 100% correct.
No, all right, we're done with you.